The Laker family sold for $12.5 billion, the biggest price tag in sports history. And 2 days after the deal got announced, the family that's owned this team for almost 50 years turned around and threatened to sue each other over it. If you think this is just a basketball story, stay with me. Because what happens inside the Buss family right now happens inside regular families every single day. It just doesn't usually make the news. I'm Brett Cranston. I spend my days helping people navigate the biggest money moves of their life: inheritance, business sales, retirement, the moment when money is in motion and one decision sets the tone for years. And this Lakers story has it all: family, control, a fight over who actually gets to decide. So let's break it down and let's talk about what it means for your family, because you don't need a basketball team to end up in the exact situation. Start with the timeline because it moves fast. Last year, Mark Walter bought the controlling stake in the Lakers from the Buss family. That deal valued the team at $10 billion. As part of it, Jeannie Buss stayed on as governor, the person who represented the team at league level. Walter agreed to keep her on the seat through 2030. 10 months later, Walter flips it. He agrees to sell his stake to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner for $12.5 billion. $2.5 billion more than he paid in under a year. The Buss family still held one piece of the team, 17.8%, sitting in the family trust. Days after the Iger and Kushner deal broke, word came out that the family had voted to sell that piece too. That's when it all fell apart in public. Jeannie Buss said no, not in a press conference, but through her lawyer. The letter argued that no sale of that trust stake can happen without approval from three specific co-trustees: Janine, her sister Janie, and her brother Joey. It pointed back to a 2017 court order that settled who controls what's inside this family, and it raised the real issue underneath all of it. To stay on as governor, Jeannie needs the family to hold at least 15% of the team, and that number drops below the line. Her seat goes with it. Her attorney also accused two of her brothers of leaking false information to a reporter to force her hand. 5 siblings said they'd agree to sell and were united on it. One sibling said that vote was void. That's where the things stand right now, and it's handed towards a courtroom if nobody backs down. Here's what most of the headlines are missing. This isn't a new fight. Jerry Bussey bought the Lakers in 1979 for $67.5 million. He built a dynasty. He died in 2013, and the team passed to his 6 kids. Jeannie became the face of the franchise in 2017. She fired her own brother Jim from his role running basketball operations. 2 more brothers, Joey and Jesse, got pushed out of the front office last year during the restructuring after the Walter deal. This family has been renegotiating who's in charge since the day their father died. 12 years later, with billions of dollars now on the table, that same unresolved question is back, and it's the biggest version of it yet. Here's the part I want you to sit with. This family has the best lawyers money can buy. Trust structures built by people who do nothing else all day. Court orders on file. And it's still messy. Still ending in a legal standoff played out through the leaked letters and dueling statements. So ask yourself, what happened in a family without any of that? No formal trust language around control. No court order settling who decides. Just an assumption that everyone will figure it out when the time comes. Money in motion doesn't create family conflict. It reveals it. Every unresolved question, every old resentment, every assumption nobody ever said out loud, it all surfaces the moment real money changes hands. A business sale, an inheritance, a cottage that's been in the family for 40 years. The dollar amount is smaller than a basketball team, but the emotional stakes for that family are exactly the same size. Think about a team with no name captain. Every player assumes they're the ones who talk to the ref, calls the timeout, makes the line change. It works fine until there's a close call in the third period. Then everyone's shouting over each other and nobody's actually in charge. That's a family without a plan. Everything goes fine until the money moves. And then you find out nobody agreed on who makes the call. So here's what I want every family watching to take from this. First, decide who's in charge before you need the answer. Not an assumption based on birth order or who's closest to mom and dad. A written, named decision maker for the moment that matters. Second, get it in writing. And get the writing right. A trust that only spells out who gets what isn't enough. It needs to spell out who decides, especially when a sale or a major change comes up. That's exactly the gap that put the Bus family in a legal fight. Third, have the conversation while everyone's still around to have it. The worst time to find out your family disagrees on control is after a death. In the middle of a deal with a clock running. Have that talk at the dinner table years before you ever need it. Fourth, bring in someone neutral, early. Not a family member, not whoever's closest to the money, someone whose only job is to protecting the family's interests as a whole, not any one person's seat at the table. The Lakers will probably get sold. Igor and Kushner have too much leverage and too much money for this to end any other way. But the Bus family is going to spend the next few months finding out the hard way what happens when money moves and nobody agrees on the plan. When money moves, you need a game plan. That's true at $12.5 billion, and it's true at whatever number your family is dealing with. If this hit close to home, and if your family has its own version of this story, drop it in the comments. And if you want to help building that better plan for your family's money when it's in motion, that's exactly what I do.